Forget what JP Morgan is saying. Short the coffee futures, go long Bitcoin. I gotta go. Hey, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode of Web3 Coffee. Before we get into the topic of this week, I thought we'd quickly recap some of the major events that happened this week. As is usually the case during a bull run, a lot has happened. I think top of my mind is President Putin saying that Bitcoin cannot be banned and crypto will continue to develop, regardless of regulatory intervention. I think it's something that the techno optimists have been saying for decades. There have been people that tried to ban encryption, a couple decades ago. The fact of the matter is you cannot ban technology, especially software that is so capable of disrupting entrenched industries. So with that, I definitely say congrats to President Putin for jumping on the Bitcoin bandwagon. I think second interesting item for this week was Michael Saylor from MicroStrategy continues to push his pro-Bitcoin narrative or Bitcoin maxi narrative. He bought over, I think it was 20K Bitcoin, putting him at 2% ownership of all Bitcoins there. It's probably not the best note for decentralization, but he had a pretty funny quote he said during an interview. Shorts will short, longs will long, haters gonna hate, and maxi's gonna max.
No, it's okay. Now, everybody's got to do their thing. The short's got to be short, the long's got to be long, the trader's got to trade, right? The haters got to hate, the maxis are going to maxi. Everybody's going to do their thing. That's fine.
Gotta give it to him. He plays the part well. I think finally the last news item that I'll cover is Sundar Pichai from Google saying that, they've cracked quantum computing. Apparently this is an announcement they make quite often. I've had a lot of people reach out to me and ask me what this means for Bitcoin. Should they be selling? First of all, they announced 100 qubits for this quantum computer. I think that's very far away from what it would take to crack Bitcoin's hash algorithm. And the real interesting part is that, let's say that it was capable of cracking Bitcoin's encryption standard, right? The reality is Bitcoin has one of the strongest encryption standards there is in this world. So if it's possible to crack that and you choose to sell your Bitcoin and put it in a bank, I don't see how your bank couldn't be hacked as well. So the reality is that all of these financial systems are going to have to rush to keep up with encryption, or rather hackers, just as they have for the last few decades. So with that said, let's get into what I'm really looking forward to talking about on this week's episode, which again is part of our Road to a Billion series, where we look at what is the first DApp that's going to hit 1 billion users. And I thought I would kind of broaden what we think of as a DApp, because I realized one of my favorite decentralized applications really is where I am right now, and that is the Network State by Balaji. Or rather, he's calling this program the Network School. And over here, there's tons of Web3 integrations. And, I think likely it's these network states are going to scale up. I don't know if they'll be the first DApp to hit 1 billion users because there's kind of a physical element to some of these current network states, but they're making some strong inroads and a lot of people really like the offering they have. Given they're all at early stages, I think this is the perfect time for me to break down what we're seeing at one of the foremost network states, which is the Network School by Balaji. Before we dive into the exact way Balaji's Network School is working, I thought I would just spend a minute quickly talking about Balaji and some of the ideas he had before he started this, right? So I think what I've found really illuminating about learning of Balaji while I've been here is many successful startups he's had has really sharpened his mind well beyond just the tech side of a business. While his background educationally, especially, is kind of more in the technical world, it's clear to me he's become a master marketer. He knows how to position ideas well. He's a leader that people fall behind, not just because of his technical know-how or because of his past experience, but because he's truly cracked ways to make his complicated ideas into things that people will believe in. And the changes he's seeking are ones that people can really understand given the way he breaks it down. And you see this with, a lot of the ways he handles his twice weekly talks he does, but also in how he communicates with the team. He has a long roadmap and a vision, like I think a lot of the other network state leaders have. But he has the benefit of seeing how some of them have done versus a lot of the earlier editions were kind of really the first movers. And that puts him in a very uniquely advantageous position. It's my first network state that I've attended, but I have to say I'm thoroughly impressed. So just very quickly, right, in his book, which is free, by the way, The Network State, How to Start a Country, he describes the network state as a form of social organization that emerges in the digital age. It combines the principles of a decentralized network with the structures of a traditional network nation state. Now, quickly breaking this down, it essentially means that the network state is a digital-first community that has some sort of moral mission. It's capable of influencing the physical world, but it does this by getting people to join their moral vision or moral mission. And one of the strongest advantages they have is that they can leverage technology to challenge traditional areas much faster than the traditional country, because at the end of the day, they're a startup. And startups are great at moving fast and breaking things. So with that said, let me get started on some of the exact Web3 features Balaji's put in place here, Balaji and his team have put in place here at the network school. So cohort 1 of Balaji's network school can be broken down into 3 bite-sized components. And those are essentially earn, learn, and burn. Now, this is kind of what I meant earlier about how he's become a master marketer, because these are such easy to understand concepts and they just make sense. And frankly, the way some of these have been put in place really do give me the feeling of a college experience I never had. So with regard to learn, Balaji has been hosting these weekly kind of 2 to 4 hour long lecture classes where essentially he's the one speaking about what is important to understand about the future of the world in his eyes. And a big part of that initially was actually history of the world. It really put a new lens on what any of us in the cohort had really known before, because frankly, every country will have their own set of what's important history in their K to 12 years. And oftentimes they'll be skipping over, glorifying or putting down certain parts. And the reality is now, with the globalized world, with all this, research available online, those that truly spend time diving deep can find out what's, quote unquote true, or at least what's not true. And so I really enjoyed getting that perspective during those weekly lecture classes, and they also had kind of a quiz component.
A great year together at Coinbase, where we shipped a ton of stuff and argue politics. Like, he's one of the few people who loves to argue politics as much as I do. And one of I think our one-liners, or my one-liner, but I think we both agree on it, is that crypto makes libertarians more progressive and progressives more libertarian, because progressive realizes, oh, actually you can start a currency outside of government, and libertarian realizes, okay, yeah, but then you need to start something much like a government, right? And so that's actually the thesis, antithesis. So we've also got a few other members of the base team here. Maybe you can come on stage. And mostly I'll talk to Jesse, but I want to kind of give a few cues to them. So we have the...
If you're on the base team, raise your hand.
Yeah.
Okay, quickly introduce yourself.
Okay, great.
Now, those that complete the quiz could possibly be given some sort of NFT reward in the future. And you're going to see these NFT rewards are kind of a big theme, but I'll get into the real value of them very soon. So that's learn. Now with burn, essentially every morning we have this fitness class. It's not that long. It's about 35 minutes, I think, max. And at the end of this fitness class, every single day, you can go and collect this NFT. And the fitness class is designed to be slightly, half cardio, half strength training, and your measurements are recorded on a certain basis, and you can kind of see how much you've progressed month by month, week by week, or even start of the program, end of the program. And I believe Brian Johnson had some role to play in how this program was done, but certainly a gentleman called Reagan played a big role there, part of the team, and I really enjoyed the classes myself. So now that's learn, burn, and finally there's an earn also component where essentially anyone can kind of put up these bounties for tech problems they want solved or some other type of problem they want solved. I think earlier examples were around cloud cartography. That has also been something I haven't personally dabbled that much in, but I know that there's a lot of students here who've really enjoyed that whole part of the curriculum. Now, what is super valuable in my eyes, I should also mention that you can pay for your food and stuff like that all via crypto. That's kind of like the basic crypto integration. I don't really want to get into that. What's super interesting is that these NFTs can unlock a lot of value later. And that I don't mean value in terms of, I'm going to get an airdrop from my burn, What I mean is that, someone who goes to the gym 30 times in 1 month, every single day they're there at the gym's burn session, they should get a vote on what the gym spends money on that month. The people that use it the most, the people that use it the right way, the people that create the most benefit for this network state with that particular, to get that NFT, they should have more of a say in how it grows, how it spends its treasury and things like that. And that, I think, is just a whole new way of looking at the potential of democracy in this crypto age. And I'm personally super excited to see how this develops. I told the team, the network school team just today that I am definitely going to be part of the next cohort, if they'll have me. And and look, this is just one small integration. The potential is really endless because, this is the first time where a community can scale endlessly and we can have proof on the internet of all the members, of what they've done, of their accomplishments, and not to mention I've really enjoyed getting to know everyone here. And I will say at the beginning of the cohort there was during the application stage there was this thing called like an ideology vector, which was, I believe, part of the way they decided who to let in for the first cohort. I really don't know how important that was, but I have to say it's an interesting approach to deciding how to build a country, because 150 years ago, the people who you were closest in physical proximity to, you were the most similar to them. But nowadays, your neighbor in your hometown could have very, very different views from you, not just politically, but in all types of ways than back then. So I'm really excited to see how this plays out. Look forward to hearing any of your thoughts on network states. I'm personally really excited to see how they develop. And I'd appreciate if you like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much, and look forward to seeing you next week. Peace.